Hello and welcome back to another game of round 4 of GP Caracas. Elmikkino is on Black Red Burn with Hugo and Cult Axlinger, and Mikkjal is on Blue White Rini. So we have a fast deck versus a slow deck here. Blue White Rini, after Rini nerf, it's more of a control deck than a tempo deck. So the Rini deck is looking to use their counter spells to slow Elmikkino down until they can stabilize enough to turn the game around. Rini, it probably isn't going to be all that good in this matchup because it's way too slow. You have to get 6 spells into your graveyard and 3 white mana, and getting 3 white mana is pretty tough for Mikkjal's deck. Getting 2 white mana is a lot easier, but now that Rini is 3 white, it's not very easy to cast. Mikkjal decides to mulligan the hand with the Rinis, and they keep a hand with Event Horizon and Sweep the Legs. Sweep the Legs will slow down burn, but they won't deal with burn stuff permanently. Mikkjal playing Wayfarer's Shrine, like fetching an island probably. Elmikkino getting the turn 1 shock fetch into paying land into Cult Axlinger, swing for 3, which is one of the strongest openings that burn can get, and probably one of the main things that's keeping burns, because attacking with a hasty 3/3 on turn 1 is really powerful. And then next turn, Elmikkino can enable Cult again with one of their bolts. They even have a second Cult. This game, Elmikkino has a really good hand this game. But Mikkjal has an equally good hand because they can Event Horizon the Cults or Sweep the Leg, the bolts, to prevent Elmikkino from enabling the Cults. Elmikkino playing out the unjust sentence. Mikkjal is just going to take that. And I guess Mikkjal is planning on using Event Horizon on the Cult Axlinger. Elmikkino plays out the second Cult Axlinger, and I guess Mikkjal gets to decide whether they want to Sweep the Leg it. Probably not. They're keeping up Event Horizon, so they're probably going to use it. And Event Horizon hits the Cult Axlinger. So it's turn 2 and Mikkjal's already down to 10 life. And next turn, Elmikkino has even more pressure. Mikkjal draws a land. So Mikkjal has turn 4 Setting Sun, and all they have to survive this turn is Sweep the Leg, which might just be enough. So Elmikkino can play Banished Companion, using the Crumbling Precipice to ping themselves. And then Banished Companion comes down and swings, and then that also deals 2 to Elmikkino. Elmikkino's going to play down Hugo first, probably following up with Banished Companion. Mikkjal is going to Sweep the Leg Hugo on the stack. Not sure why they did that, because Sweep the Leg can target creatures too. So they probably should have just waited for Hugo to resolve and then let Elmikkino go to attacks before deciding what to Sweep the Leg. Because now Elmikkino gets to play down Banished Companion, and Mikkjal doesn't have an answer for that. So Banished Companion attacks and hits Elmikkino in the face for 2, which would enable Cult Axlinger because they lost 1 life before from the Crumbling Precipice. And that will hit Mikkjal down to 5 life. Mikkjal draws another land. So Mikkjal can Setting Sun right now by pinging themselves with a Nebula. Probably what they're going to do because they can't really afford to do anything else here. So Setting Sun comes out and wipes board, and Elmikkino passes the turn with an empty board and 4 life. And now Elmikkino has lethal from hand. You have Assault Charm followed by either Banished Companion or Fire Burst. And that just shows the ferocity of the burn deck. If it gets a good draw, it can easily end the game on turn 3, even through some disruption and removal, or even through a Wrath in this case. Mikkjal doesn't have a good sideboard against, well, no, they have Guiding Light, so yeah, that's quite good against burn. So they still need to be able to play it first. And then they might just board out the Rinis here, because Rini is just so slow against burn. But if they board out Rini, then they can't really win. Actually, no, they have Children of the Clouds, and that's also a really good card against burn, so probably boarding out Rini and then bringing in some of the burn hate. Meanwhile, Elmikkino probably just looking to bring in Rousing Rubble, because Mikkjal is playing a slower deck, and then Rage of the Ravaged, and then probably just those two, because otherwise they don't really have anything. Going to game 2, Mikkjal draws a hand with bunch of counter spells, and early counter spells, in fact. Probably gonna keeping this, because they have turn 1 Cosmic Sinkhole, and then turn 2 Cursory Glance. And Elmikkino draws a hand with Alt Axelier on turn 1 with a Shock Fetch, so yeah, they're definitely keeping this. They have a bunch of no good gun pointers coming out too. I think they board in no good gun pointers. How many copies they run in the main? Well, I guess we can't tell because they run 3 copies. So Mikkjal starts probably playing Ultra Monster untapped, fetching the island. And now they get to turn 1 Cosmic Sinkhole, Elmikkino's Alt Axelier. That sort of displays how this matchup is super play draw dependent. Because if Mikkjal was on the draw, then they wouldn't have been able to turn 1 Cosmic Sinkhole the Cult Axelinger, and that would have caused Mikkjal to take a huge amount of damage. Elmikkino going into turn 2, still not drawing another 1-drop, so they're probably going to play one of their 2-drops, and that gets countered by Cursory Glance. Elmikkino play out Hugo, turn 2, and Mikkjal is going to reconsider it. I guess they're keeping Cursory Glance for when Elmikkino has more mana, because Cursory Glance hits basically every card in Elmikkino's deck. So Mikkjal can either play Ultramonster untapped in order to keep up Opt plus Sweep the Leg, but they're going to just save their life, and I guess either they're going to Cursory Glance wherever Elmikkino plays, or they're going to Opt if Elmikkino doesn't do anything. Seems pretty unlikely for Elmikkino to not do anything though, so Elmikkino is going to play the Adventure of No Good Gun Pointer, and Mikkjal is probably just going to counter that. Mikkjal probably fetching for the Pool of Light. So it seems Mikkjal draws another land, so it seems like they're in a really good position right now. They can Opt and still pass the turn holding up Event Horizon plus Sweep the Leg. Elmikkino is going to try to Scorch, and I guess Mikkjal isn't really going to counter that, because they're still at a pretty healthy life total, and they don't actually have any hard counter spells. The Basalt Charm comes down, and I'm assuming Mikkjal also takes that. And Mikkjal is going to Opt in response, probably thinking for a counter spell. And all of their Opting got them into Children of the Clouds, which actually isn't very good in this board state because Elmikkino doesn't have any creatures, and Mikkjal's pretty far away from 6 lands. Next turn, Elmikkino can start swinging in with the Rousing Rebel, but Sweep the Leg will answer that pretty well. Well, in fact, so Sweep the Leg says cast, so if Elmikkino animates Rousing Rebel and then Mikkjal sweeps the leg it, Elmikkino won't be able to get it back because it's a land and you can't cast lands. Yeah, and now Rousing Rebel is permanently exiled. Elmikkino's just going to pass the turn, and game seems to be in Mikkjal's favor. So yeah, this game sort of demonstrates how powerful Mikkjal's deck can be if it's on the play. And last game showcased how strong Elmikkino's deck would be if that was on the play. And if the draws line up, of course. Elmikkino probably going to play down Rapacious Rattler. Oh, and yeah, Rapacious Rattler. Mikkjal doesn't have a counter spell right now, so you're going to let it resolve. And actually, Event Horizon doesn't answer Rapacious Rattler because it costs too much. So Mikkjal is going to dig for a counter spell here. And find Sweep the Leg. Okay. So Mikkjal can sweep the leg to Rapacious Rattler in order to slow it down for a turn. And okay, Searing Grace is an instant speed spell. So Searing Grace costs 2 less if you activate a non-mana ability this turn. And fetch lands are non-mana abilities, so you can use one of your fetch lands and then get a 1-mana Searing Grace. And Searing Grace is a pretty new innovation in burn decks because I haven't actually seen that card being played in burn decks before. But since you're running Cult Axelingers anyways, and that card sort of depends on having fetch lands, Searing Grace isn't really that far behind. Mikkjal gets to 6 lands, so they have Children of Clouds up. And I think Children of Clouds is going to seal the game. And Children of Clouds is just really good against burn. Well, I guess I'm being a bit hyperbolic because when I play against burn in GP, both games I died with Children of the Clouds stuck in hand because they either killed me before I got to 5 land or 6 lands, or I made sure to never have 2 creatures in play at a time. Mikkjal gets to play as Children of the Clouds because they have 6 lands. And I think that's the end of the game. Elmikkino doesn't have enough resources to get past this. Children of the Clouds actually synergizes quite well with Event Horizon too because it increases the number of permanents in play for Event Horizon. And Mikkjal is going to play on Rini first, just to rub in the salt. They'll keep me back from the birds for some reason. Guess they want to play on around every possibility. No, Elmikkino concedes after getting thoroughly beaten that game. So game 3, Mikkjal's on a draw now, and as Dave noted, repeating what happened last game is going to be a lot harder due to how play draw dependent this matchup is, because if Elmikkino's on the play, then Mikkjal can't get down to turn 1 Cosmic Sinkhole. And Mikkjal has a hand with Cosmic Sinkhole, so yeah, it will be quite relevant this game. And I think they're still probably going to keep this hand because it has everything they want. They have Cosmic Sinkhole, they have Opt, they have Event Horizon to kill any cult accelerators that get through. Elmikkino, meanwhile, draws a hand with quite a lot of, well, they draw a pretty good hand. They have all the lands they need, and turn 1 Banished Companion into turn 2 No Good, or turn 2 Hugo, turn 3 Rage of the Ravaged. The only thing they're missing is a turn 1 Cult Axlinger, but Banished Companion will do. And Mikkjal sees the Banished Companion and probably breathes a huge sigh of relief that they don't have to deal with a turn 1 Cult Axlinger. Mikkjal playing an island and keeping up the Cosmic Sinkhole. Cosmic Sinkhole is probably going to hit Hugo here, unless Elmikkino specifically tries to play around Cosmic Sinkhole by playing Banished Companion instead of Hugo. I don't think Elmikkino is going to try to do that because they'd rather just get down Hugo, even if Mikkjal has a counter. Just spend all their mana, and yeah, Mikkjal counters it with Cosmic Sinkhole. So with Banished Companion, Elmikkino's at less life than Mikkjal. Mikkjal draws another land, though I don't think they're very happy about that because Mikkjal kind of needs action, but they at least draw a land that prevents them from having to lose more life to lands this turn. Elmikkino draws another Rage of the Ravaged. They might just play down Rage of the Ravaged this turn. No, Elmikkino is going to play down all their burn first, and then play down Rage of the Ravaged. So Mikkjal's probably going to Event Horizon with the Banished Companions. And now but that prevents them from opting this turn, although that's pretty minor. So notably, Elmikkino is down to 6 life due to all the Banished Companions plus fetches, although no good gun pointer gets them up to 9 life again. So it's the end of turn 3 and Mikkjal's at 11 life. So not the worst thing in the world, but still not that, but they're still not in the clear yet. They draw another Setting Sun that they can't use. They're probably going to opt this turn. Just dig for something. And they bottom a Rini. They draw another Setting Sun. No, that's both hilarious and painful because all of the Setting Suns beyond the first are basically useless. But maybe Elmikkino decides to play down No Good Gun Pointer instead of Rage of the Ravaged, and Mikkjal gets a good Setting Sun. I guess Mikkjal also gets the opportunity to play Ocean Monster tap since they don't have anything else to hold up, so they save themselves some life that way. And Rage of the Ravage comes down, which is quite annoying for Mikkjal because now they can't even gain life and they're getting pinged every time they cast a spell. And Elmikkino, I think it's No Good Gun Pointer, Elmikkino's up to 7 life, so from 4. The Rage of the Ravage could have been dangerous to Elmikkino, but now they're pretty safe. And Mikkjal decides to fetch a Pool of Light instead of a basic so that they could play Sedate Tundra. Well, I guess Mikkjal is just going to play Ocean Monster tap this turn. No, they're going to play Sedate Tundra. So yeah, they definitely should have fetched the basic there, because they're going to lose life to Sedate Tundra. And they're going to pass the turn. They're not even going to Setting Sun here. They're still looking to Event Horizon, either the Rage of the Ravaged or the creature. I guess Mikkjal's worried about haste creatures here, although Event Horizon doesn't really do more for haste creatures than Setting Sun because with Event Horizon, if you Event Horizon a haste creature, you're still letting Banished Companion through, so you're taking 2. So the only way you would gain more life off the haste creature than Setting Sun would be if this haste creature had 3 or more power. I don't think Elmikkino I'm gonna be called Axelier, but Elmikkino doesn't really have the ability to activate called Axelier due to how Rage of the Ravage makes all of the life totals wildly vary. Elmikkino decides to shock themselves for their shock fetch because they're planning on playing Searing Grace this turn, and Mikkjal is just forced to take it. Mikkjal is down to 6 life, and is Elmikkino going to play down a second Rage of the Ravaged? If they do that, then they kind of lock themselves out because that means Elmikkino only gets to cast 2 more spells. But then again, Mikkjal kind of... Okay, so Elmikkino is going to play No Good Gun Pointer instead. And I think Mikkjal is really happy with this play because now they get to Event Horizon the Rage of the Ravaged. Wait, and Elmikkino's not even attacking because Spanish Companion hits them too, so you get to end of turn Event Horizon, the Rage of the Ravaged, and then they get to Setting Sun and wipe the board. But yeah, suddenly Mikkjal isn't in a great position, but suddenly it looks like they're starting to stabilize. So another Ocean Monastery. Mikkjal can Setting Sun hit themselves for 1 off Sedate Tundra, and then play Ocean Monastery tapped, which will prevent them from getting hit by themselves off Sedate Tundra next turn. So if Elmikkino top deck a burn spell here, then there's... Okay, yeah, then they're in the clear. Because now they get to hit Mikkjal down to 1 and then drop Rage of the Ravage. And now Mikkjal literally can't cast spells. And Mikkjal realizes this and they're just going to concede. They're not going to bother waiting around for Elmikkino to draw into a way to kill them. And yeah. So it looks like the burn deck wins once again. Oh yeah, it was a really close game because it came down to every last life. If Mikkjal fetched basic with the Ocean Monastery that turn, they could have won because then they would be at 1 extra life. And that would mean that Mikkjal gets to play 1 more spell.